It's not that I'm bad in bed, I just have trouble getting them there because I usually expend myself well before I've gotten that far. I just got back from a magical week in Walt Disney World. I don't know if you've been there recently, but they don't. You don't have to use a credit card anymore. They give you a little wristband with Mickey Mouse on it that you use to pay for all your shit, so you have no idea how much money you're spending till you get back. But while I was at the Animal Kingdom, I decided to go buy a glass of water, and I assumed it was maybe like $9 because I didn't see a price tag or anything. And everybody that works there is from Africa. And so when I went to pay for it, she said, hey, would you like to add 15% for the Disney Endangered Species Fund? And I said, are you fucking crazy? I just spent $7,500 to get here to a fucking mouse in a tuxedo. I would think that greedy fucker could spare a little for the endangered species. You just charged me another $150 to see. Now, I think that the people in Africa are not skinny because they have lack of nutrition or lack of food. I think it's because they don't digest their food. I ate African food for a week there at the Animal Kingdom, and I took some of the biggest deuces I've ever seen. I tried to report them to Guinness Book of World Records. I'm pretty sure they were record breakers, but every toilet there is an auto-flush toilet. So unless you go to Disney World with a pocket full of masking tape, you're not going to set any records. That's a true story. Another true story. I think poop is funny, obviously. And I like to draw big old massive 2-foot curlers at my office bathroom and just leave them there. I leave the tops poking out like the head of a turtleconda. I did that recently, and I thought, you know, this is majestic. This is really beautiful, and somebody else should witness it, so I left it. And I threw the toilet paper in the trash bin as I was walking out because I didn't want to disturb the turtleconda habitat. My coworker that came in after me didn't think it was quite as funny as I did, and he was running up and down the hall asking what kind of disgusting person would do that. Apparently it's the same kind of disgusting person that will take a picture and change your background image while you're bitching about it. That's a true story.
Wow.
I gotta check my notes. So yeah, I think poop is really funny until recently a couple of teenage boys decided it would be fun to poop on my patio in the middle of the night and ring the fucking doorbell. They call it ding dong ditch, I guess. So they rang the doorbell, and I went out and I found the turd, and I was very upset because they woke me up from my beauty sleep. I mean, if you're going to do this kind of thing, you have to not poop for a couple of days and build some girth on that thing. You leave a bear-sized pile, and I'll applaud you. You leave a little prepubescent narrow turd, and you're just going to piss me off. And that's exactly what they did. They pissed me off. So they came back about an hour later, rang the doorbell again. I was in socked feet, and I ran out of the door like a madman, chasing them across the street. But I'm old, and if you can't tell, I'm a little fat, not as quick as I used to be. And so my socks got wet, and I slipped on the street, and I fell down like one of those blow-up mascots, like the Cox mascot over the Driller Stadium. And I was trying to get up, and I skinned my chin, bruised my knee. It was terrible. And I realized that I was too old to chase down prepubescent children, drag them back to my house, and rub their nose in the shit they left there. So the next night the bastards came back and they rang the doorbell, but with age comes wisdom, so instead of charging out, I just walked to the front door and looked out. They brought a car this time, and they were loaded with eggs, expecting me to run out so they could egg me. But I just surveyed the situation, watched them drive away, and read their license plate number. I took the scenic route to work the next day, and I found where they lived. That afternoon I left work early. I came home, I bought a flashlight and an air horn, a spotlight and an air horn. I mounted them in front of my doorway and hooked them to the doorbell. To the right of the doorway, I placed a paintball claymore, so that when he rang the doorbell, I got blasted with the air horn. He would stumble to the right and get blasted by a paintball claymore. Then my neighbor actually happens to own a bull mastiff, and so I went next door and I collected a big bag of dog shit, and I parked myself in his front yard and waited for them to return, which they did. Windows down, just like the previous night. One kid in the front says, "Go, go, go," like they're on some sort of top secret fucking mission. The guy runs over, hits the doorbell, gets blasted by the air horn, falls to the right screaming because it's lit up like the light of God on my front patio. Gets blasted by the claymore, falls down screaming, and I come charging out of the bushes with a bag full of dog shit, hurling it at the kids in the car. Like, yeah, you little motherfuckers, it's funny, right? Yeah, it's funny. Throwing dog shit at him, hitting the guy in the face. Kid up front's laying there screaming, they squeal out and leave him. And I chased the other kid into the night screaming and crying like a baby. Next morning I went over to their house because I'd found where they live. And I placed a note on their windshield that said, "Be careful whose doorbell you ring. Some people are fucking crazy." Now unfortunately none of that happened. But that's how it played out in my head while I was sitting in the dark jacked up on Mountain Dew and getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Unfortunately, the UPS driver is still receiving counseling. Thank you. One more. This one's just as bad as that one, so strap in. I've got a neighbor, and I'm a good neighbor, and he bought a swing set for his little boy, and I offered to help him with the swing set whenever he put it together. One evening, I was sitting at home, sipping some tea, and I saw him outside working on it, so I went over to help. What I didn't realize is that him and his wife had been arguing for about 30 minutes on how to put the fucking thing together. And when I said, "Hey, can I help?" he hands me the instructions for the swing set and leaves me there to build it with his wife. So she and I completed it in about 3 hours, and I guess he felt a little guilty, so he came over the next day and brought me 3 tickets to Sesame Street Live. And I thought to myself, what a fucking dickhead. What kind of asshole rewards you for building a swing set for his child by giving you 3 tickets to Sesame Street Live? I don't know if you've been to this show or not, but it's a bunch of fucking Muppets dancing around and playing out political correctness to song and dance. And it's terrible, and all you do is sit there praying that one of them will fall off stage so that you can have something to post to YouTube. Unfortunately, Big Bird did not fall off the stage, but I noticed that all the children there were more interested in the $15 light stick they forced their parents to buy than they were in the show that was portraying on stage. So any time that the music stops and the dancing stops, it sounds like a toddler internment camp, because all the children are just screaming because their father just broke their $15 light stick because he's lost all of his patience. So we're leaving the show, we're walking across the driveway, and my neighbor says, "So what'd you think?" I said, "I think you are a fucking asshole. I'm going to burn down your goddamn swing set." That's all I got. Thanks, guys.